Being Mommy with Style, and today I wanted to sit down and do a chatty vlog. I was finally feeling like I wanted to sit down and talk about a video that I'd mentioned a number of times as I was kind of going through a number of job transitions. So if you guys have been following me for a while, you know that I started out on YouTube as a stay-at-home mom, and obviously that allowed me a lot of time to make a lot of videos, and I had multiple channels. I still have multiple channels, and I was just like a stay-at-home mom video making machine, basically. I think I have over 2,000 videos on this channel, and then hundreds and hundreds of videos on other channels as well. So obviously YouTube became a big part of my life, so I almost started kind of working from home as a stay-at-home mom, but I viewed my main function as a stay-at-home mom, you know, being with the kids. So I might film during the day, but I never edited during the day. I always did my editing at night after the kids were in bed, and that just became a natural part of my routine. In fact, it's so ingrained now that that's still the pattern that I hold. So that's kind of nice, because that's obviously allowed me to keep doing YouTube when I went back to work full time. So, you know, I'd film videos on the weekend, I would edit at night, and the rhythm actually worked fairly well. So I went back to work full time about 1.5 years, almost 2 years ago. And I found a really great position, great fit for me, a company that I grew with a lot, and really kind of an interesting thing. I found a position where it's a marketing position, but it was very heavily social media related. And so for me, that was very, very interesting, because for me, social media, I really enjoy it, and there is a function of marketing there, because marketing, when it boils down to it at the end of the day, is communication. So obviously I enjoy communicating with people. It's a big part of why I enjoy YouTube. So it was really interesting for me to kind of find this blend out in the regular world, if whatever you want to call it, out in the working world, that incorporated all of these elements that I already enjoyed and, you know, felt quite confident in. So in working there, I did all of those job functions. I obviously have a marketing background as well, and so I kind of started delving into some of the other marketing things, ended up being a marketing team lead for the marketing team. And you know, this whole time I haven't really talked about it a lot, but really kind of one of the biggest things about transitioning from a stay-at-home mom to a working mom, especially 40 hours a week or more, working mom, was really kind of finding that work-life balance. And that was honestly the biggest struggle. The work was a joy, the people I worked with are a joy, and you know, everything as far as the function was great. The work-life balance, that transition there, was really the toughest piece. And so penguins at my feet, like sitting on my feet, like just messing around. You know, I worked through that, and then I hit this point where I was like, well, do I really, you know, need to try to make this a bigger priority? So then I moved into, luckily the company that I worked for in the marketing department, he's literally moving the table right now. The company that I worked for in the marketing department also did real estate, so I moved into a real estate agent position after doing the school for it and getting licensed and all of that, to kind of test out the work-life balance. Here's the thing about me, I really love working. I really love working. So it's been its own adjustment, because now it's almost kind of the pendulum have swung from one side to the other. So it's really a fine balance of, I don't necessarily need free time, but definitely having that balancing personal life with work life is what I'm always continually looking for. So I had some practical suggestions for stay-at-home moms looking to start to go back to work, and just to kind of my thoughts there of what may ease the transition. And I want to go ahead and start by saying, because I know especially when kids are younger, like there can be a little bit of infighting or maybe a little bit of animosity between working moms, stay-at-home moms, even if they don't mean it to be. And as a stay-at-home mom, I know I observed this a little bit. People are generally nice, but there's this kind of sense of working moms want stay-at-home moms to stop complaining because they have it so great, they get to be home with the kids. But there's a reality of being a stay-at-home mom that, unless you've been one, you don't understand. There's a lot of loneliness, everything generally falls to you, you end up being the default parent. And if you're like it was when I was a stay-at-home mom, I had a husband that traveled a lot and was gone a lot. And so you really almost end up becoming like that default parent 90% of the time. And it's its own mentally taxing, emotionally taxing event. And so for me, YouTube started because I needed that connectivity. Even when the kids had very rigid nap times, and you know, they slept great, but they had to sleep at very specific times and could only go outside of the house at very specific times, and I had those constraints. For me, YouTube and blogging was a release to be able to connect with other moms at that point in time in a similar situation, and I think my audience kind of grew to people that were in multiple situations. So I've been in that unique situation, that feeling of kind of being confined and loneliness at times, and that, you know, just kind of wanting to be connected. You know, I was in moms groups that helped. The kids did Mom's Day Out, where it gave me a little bit of time to go do things like get haircuts and pedicures. That helped. So if you're a stay-at-home mom in that situation, I definitely highly recommend those. Then swinging to the other side, I completely understand the working mom side now too. The past year has been a struggle. You know, I really would love to be more involved with the kids' parties, and I feel bad because all of that is falling to the stay-at-home moms in the classroom, just calling it how it is. Because I don't have the ability to participate. I just don't. When you have a job that expects you to be there 40, 50 plus hours a week, and there's a lot of demands there, even going shopping, and I know this sounds crazy if you're not in the situation, but even just going shopping to get paper plates and cups and whatever to send in for a party becomes difficult, and sometimes. Because especially towards the end of the year, I was in situations where I would have meetings come up at lunch, and I couldn't even go do that on lunch. So, because I was eating lunch in the office and just kept working through. So everything's its own struggle, which leads me to the third scenario. Working at home moms, I now know your situation too. So I was kind of a work-at-home mom with YouTube, but that's a little different because it's really your own time and your own schedule. And so here's the thing that's really unique about being a work-at-home mom is you have kind of that loneliness of being the stay-at-home mom, and you have some of that demands of being a working in the office mom, and then they're kind of mixed. And it's a really, really interesting thing. It's a really interesting thing because when you get used to being around, you know, adults all day long, and that constant influx of activity and that constant influx of a conversation and just input and things, moving to being at home where you're back to like, I'm the only person sitting here besides Penguin sitting on my feet right now. It's very, very interesting because you are missing elements that you didn't really realize you were going to miss. All that being said too, I've now kind of seen all three sides of the triangle. I don't have an opinion of which one's best because, to be honest, it really depends on your season of life. It really does. I've been in all three seats now, and I have a good idea of what each one offers, of what the pros and cons of each ones are, and what's going to work best in your scenario will not work best for what someone else's scenario is, and etc. What works great now may not be what will work best a year from now. But I'm thankful that I had the opportunity to compare all three. So that being said, I don't think that there's a one-size-fits-all answer for everyone, but the biggest thing that I would suggest as far as transitioning from one to the other is if you have at all the ability to test it out first and see what you think. So I jumped back into the working world because, one, I love to work. I just do. It's something that I always kind of continually craved. And I knew I wanted to get the kids into school and then, you know, figure out what I wanted to do from there. And luckily this position, working with social media, came up into my, you know, realm of possibility very quickly. But it's one of those things where if you have the ability to test it out from one transition to the next, I think that that is probably the best way to do it. And I've not done that for any of them. So what I mean here is going from stay-at-home mom to a working mom, probably start out part-time and do it part-time for a while if that is a capability for you. I know it's not for everyone. going from working full-time to working at home. Maybe bridging the gap there of where you're in the office part of the time and you're working from home part of the time, because there's a transition there too. And then possibly even if you're going full circle from one of those two things to being with the kids more often, maybe you're super excited about that if you haven't had that opportunity yet. But taking some days off in the summer and really kind of starting to get acclimated of, okay, how am I going to structure my time and how am I going to schedule my time? Because to be honest with you, in the thing I can tell you that's the same, those are the things that are different. The things I can tell you about that are the same, regardless of whether you're a stay-at-home mom, working mom in the office, or working mom at home, is you have to time block your time. And I kind of have like a mental map in my, head of how my week's gonna look. And I think about each morning how my day's gonna look. And I think that kind of helps me keep on track. That's a big part of how I stay so productive, is I'll have time blocks. And I'll literally block out, when the kids are little, this time to this time, we're gonna do an activity. This time to this time, we're gonna do snack. This time to this time is nap time. And I had a rough schedule with the kids, and that really super helped. That's how we were able to do preschool home. That's how I film videos. I also have a mental map for my videos. When I was staying at home, I might say, okay, this is the day we're gonna film preschool at home. This day I'm gonna do an unboxing. This day we're gonna do a day in the life. And I had that mental map, or that content calendar if you're in the working world. The same thing exists if you're working in the office or working at home. You have to block out those times. So like today, I knew I had a certain amount of time I was gonna do errands, certain amount of time that I was gonna do work. My phone's dinging at me. It's apparently telling me that this block of time is almost over to film videos. But you really have to set those blocks of time, and that is what increases your productivity in any of those stages of life. So that's the thing I would say would be the same. What's gonna work best for you really depends on you, your personality, your goals, and what makes you happy. So I've been doing a lot of watching Garyvee. If you guys are familiar with him from YouTube videos, he also is a brilliant marketer and very successful. But one of the things that he speaks to is that, you have to do what makes you happy. And what makes you happy now may not make you happy a year from now, and you need to continually check in on that. So I think that's been a big part of my change going on lately, is kind of checking in and seeing what truly makes me happy. Yes, I am a mother, but I'm still a person outside of that, and I still have goals and ambitions that are ever changing, and I still have this need to connect with people and to not influence people in a bad way, but be like a positive mentor for people, regardless of whether that's through YouTube, regardless of whether that's working directly with them in an office. Being that positive light for someone, or a positive influence or positive mentor, is a big part of joy for me. It's a big part of my own source of happiness. So I think recognizing that and figuring that out over the past 6 months or so is going to be something I'm going to look back on and realize that I'm going to make a lot more decisions based on that in the next 6 months. So all this to be said of, I think I'm right in the middle of a story right now, or right at the beginning of a story, for lack of a better way to put that. I think that all of this change was to lead me to what the next thing will be. And I'm very excited to kind of dive in and see where it takes me. So hopefully this has been helpful. If you're in one of these kind of transition periods in your life, going from one to the other, the biggest things I could say to help you through the transition is try it out beforehand if you can. Really evaluate what's going to make you happy in the long run. What is your source of happiness? If it's playing in the sandbox with your kids, then that has some weight. You have to, put some weight on that. If it's sitting in a boardroom meeting and interacting with people, then that has weight too. And then you have to, do this with all the different items and see what percentage of time you need to devote to each activity. As mothers, we have to wear a lot of hats, and you want to figure out how you incorporate all of your most important hats and put those into percentages of time during your day. And then the only other thing I would say is time blocking. That is literally, like, if I made a video about how I get everything done, I occasionally get comments, especially on older videos for some reason, about you know, I don't know how you do everything, or, you know, how do you get things done? How do you have the time? How do you keep your house clean? Well, right now it's a mess. So there's that. I need to do some cleaning this week, but it really is time blocking. Like I will literally schedule in, okay, I need to clean the house for 2 hours, Thursday afternoon, that's when it's gonna happen. Or 2 hours Tuesday, 2 hours Thursday. I block it out, and that's how I get things done. Really having that mental map or writing it down. My camera right now is sitting on a stack of planners, so I'd love to show you a planner, but I'm a like firm believer in writing things down. I love making lists. I love writing out my plan. But that being said, we use like the Gmail calendar for my work, and it helps tremendously to have that mental map in front of you. It's really easy just to pop things on your calendar real quick. Other people can pop things on your calendar. That's where getting meetings put on your lunchtime all the time happens. But it really is easy, especially when you work with a team, either remotely or in the same office, to kind of get collaboration times together. So definitely like those, but still enjoy. I like the electronic calendar, but I still really love writing things down. I still write out lists. If I have like a lot of things on my to-do list, I'll write out a list in the morning. And just so it's something tangible, I can sit there and check it off and know what I've gotten done for the day. So I think that's really huge. So hopefully this has been helpful to you. Let me know down in the comments what your season of life is right now. And I will do a few more videos like this in the future, just talking about work life, mom life, and the transitions in between. So thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.